The signal came at midnight. It was weak, broken, and full of static. But it was definitely from Urion 7, a human research outpost deep in the Kranos sector. Earth Command received it through an old deep space relay. At first, they thought it was background noise. But when the technician cleaned the signal, the message became clear. A man's voice, shaky, panicked, breathing heavy. This is Outpost Urion 7, under attack. Repeat, unknown enemy. Not pirates, not... Then came the screaming, metal crashing. A long, terrible sound like claws scraping across steel. Then silence. And one last whisper, almost too soft to hear. There. Here. The signal ended. Inside Earth Command's control room, everyone stared at the screen. No one spoke. The technician who played the signal wiped sweat from his forehead. The commander leaned forward, replaying it again and again. Same message, same screams. Same last words. The room went cold. Urion-7 had a population of 183 scientists, 42 engineers, and 12 security officers. It was a peaceful outpost used for studying deep rock layers and strange minerals. No weapons, no military value, no known threats nearby. And now, no response. Earth Command tried to contact the outpost again. No reply. They sent more signals. Waited. Hoped. Nothing. 6 hours later, Earth launched a stealth drone toward Urion 7. The drone was fast, silent, and invisible to most sensors. Its mission was simple. Go to the outpost, scan for life, and report back. It would arrive in 2 days. Until then, Earth could only wait. And worry. Back on Urion 7, there was only silence. The outpost sat at the edge of a large canyon. Once, it was full of life, people walking between metal buildings, machines digging into the rock, drones flying overhead. Now, it looked dead. No lights. No movement. Nothing. The drone hovered above the base. It scanned for heat, for radio signals, for movement. Zero life signs. But strange things showed up. The buildings were damaged, walls torn open, steel bent like soft clay. Burn marks covered the ground. Giant claw marks ran across the command tower, as if something massive had climbed it. But there were no bodies. No blood. No signs of struggle. Just total destruction. Inside one building, the drone found a data core. It had been buried under rubble. The drone picked it up, scanned it, and prepared to send it back to Earth. But just before leaving, it caught something else. A strange organic material stuck to a wall. It shimmered like oil, but pulsed like it was alive. The drone took a small sample. As it pulled away, the black goo moved just a little, as if it noticed. When the drone returned, Earth Command moved fast. Scientists rushed to open the data core. They found the last 24 hours of logs from Urion-7. It wasn't just a surprise attack. It was worse. The lead scientist, Dr. Kellen Rios, had recorded something one day before the signal was sent. He looked tired, pale. He spoke fast, like he was running out of time. "We dug deeper than ever before," he said. The readings were strange. Heat signatures we couldn't explain. Magnetic fields changing on their own. Then we found it. A structure. It looked like a temple, but not human. Not even close. He paused, breathing hard. We thought it was ancient. A relic. But we were wrong. It wasn't built to be visited. It was built to contain something. A prison. His voice lowered. We didn't open it. It opened itself. The screen shook. The lights behind him flickered. They came out fast. Too fast. We never saw their full shape. Just shadows. Claws. Teeth. And the eyes. God help us, the eyes. The video ended with screaming in the background. Then black. In the command room. No one spoke. The room's lights felt dimmer. The air felt heavy. Commander Sora Janeth stood up and looked at the council screen. "We need answers," she said. This wasn't pirates. This wasn't some lost species. Something was sealed on that planet, and now it's loose. One of the council members leaned forward. Could it be contained again? Sora shook her head. There's no one left to contain it. Later that night, a science team examined the black goo from Urion-7. It wasn't just a sample. It was a live. Not in the way humans understood life, but it moved under a microscope, changed shape, shifted color. When they tried to freeze it, it absorbed the cold. When they burned it, it reformed itself. One scientist whispered, "It's learning." Another said, "No, it's remembering." The room fell silent again. Meanwhile, Earth Command ordered the K-11 observation array to scan the rest of the Krano sector. They expected to find silence. They found something else. Too. More outposts. Callus 3 and Red River Base had gone dark in the last 12 hours. No signals. No distress calls. Just nothing. 3 outposts, all in the same line. All silent. Something was moving. That night, Commander Sora stood alone on the balcony above Earth Command. She looked at the stars. So many lights, so many lives. And something, old, powerful, and angry, was now among them. Her second-in-command walked up beside her. "What do we tell the people?" he asked. Sora didn't answer for a while. Then she said softly, "We tell them. It has begun." In a hidden chamber beneath Earth's capital, a computer system lit up. A file that had not been opened in 300 years blinked to life. Project Retribution. Status. Sleepinga handprint scanner glowed red. A voice command system blinked. Commander Sora walked in. She placed her hand on the scanner, spoke the old code. The chamber rumbled. Machines long thought forgotten came online. Giant weapons. Dark machines. AI cores locked behind 10 layers of steel. A voice spoke from the darkness. Authorization confirmed. Shall we wake the hammers? Sora whispered back. Yes, wake them. Earth must remember how to strike. Far away, in the cold, dark space beyond Urion-7, something moved, a shape too large to be seen clearly. It crawled across a dead asteroid. Behind it, others followed, silent, watching, waiting. And somewhere among them, a voice. Not human, but cruel, whispered through the void. They lit the stars. Now let's make them burn. The room was quiet. No one moved. All eyes were fixed on the black box. It had come from the ruins of Urion-7, recovered by the stealth drone. It was damaged, cracked, and partly melted. But the data inside was still there. And now the team at Earth Command was finally ready to unlock it. Dr. Holland, lead Xenotech engineer, stood over the box. His fingers trembled slightly as he connected the core to the decryption system. "This will tell us everything," he whispered. Commander. Sora Janeth stood behind him, arms crossed, eyes sharp. She didn't blink. She didn't breathe. "Do it," she said. The screen lit up. Lines of corrupted data blinked across. Then, slowly, the footage began to stabilize. It started 20 hours before the Outpost's destruction. The recording came from a helmet cam. Soldiers stood at the edge of a deep shaft in the canyon below Urion-7. Bright lights lit the stone walls. Strange symbols glowed faintly. Non-human, unknown. A voice crackled in. "Sergeant Kale, status report." The soldier turned his helmet slightly. His voice was calm, but alert. "We found the chamber. It's open now. No sign of who opened it. The texts say it opened by itself." He looked down into the darkness. "We're going in." The video shifted. 4 soldiers climbed down the shaft. Their lights flickered as they moved deeper. The walls turned from rock to metal, alien metal, smooth and cold, with patterns that moved like liquid dots. Suddenly, the signal crackled. Static, then silence. The screen went black for 10 seconds. When it returned, everything was chaos. Screams echoed. Lights flashed red. Smoke covered the halls. Soldiers ran. One fell. Something pulled him into the darkness. Just a glimpse-long limbs, thin and sharp, and glowing red eyes. A voice screamed over the radio. "It's not one thing. There are many." The cam shook violently. Blood splattered across the lens. Gunfire lit the walls. Then the screen froze. Footage was corrupted. Only broken images played, something crawling across the ceiling. A woman's face, pale, screaming before being yanked away. A black shape melting through metal walls like acid. Then one clear frame. A creature standing in. A hallway. It had no face. No eyes. Its skin looked like armor, but it was moving, breathing. It stood still, as if watching the camera. Then it ran. Straight at the viewer. The feed ended. Back in the control room, Dr. Holland took a step back. No, they weren't just creatures, he said, voice trembling. They're intelligent. They planned this. They waited for us to open that chamber. Commander Sora stared at the screen. She turned to her second in command. "Are we still in contact with Kalis 3? "No," he said. "We lost that signal 12 hours ago." "Same with Red River Base." Sora's voice turned cold. "They're moving." Later that day, scientists analyzed the full contents of the black box. They found more than video. The Outpost had been scanning the underground chamber before it opened. They'd recorded energy readings, magnetic spikes, and signals. Not natural signals, not background noise, but coded transmissions. The team decoded a fragment. It wasn't human language, but it had patterns, logic, intent. Dr. Holland stared at the screen, his face pale. "They weren't sleeping," he whispered. "They were communicating from inside the chamber." One of the younger scientists leaned in. "With who?" No one answered. Earth Command now faced the truth. This wasn't an accident. This was not a random attack. Something had been buried for thousands of years beneath Urion 7. Something that didn't just wake up on its own. It called out. Something answered. Commander Sora held an emergency meeting with Earth's Security Council. The leaders argued. Some wanted to lock Earth down. Others demanded retaliation. But they had no target. Until a new alert sounded. The stealth drone, the same one that had recovered the black box, was gone. It had been observing a distant asteroid near the ruins of Urion 7. A large, cold rock with nothing on it. Then, without warning, the signal vanished. Another screen lit up with the last image sent before signal loss. A large shape, metallic, covered in black organic material. Not a ship, not an asteroid, something in between, and it was moving, heading deeper into human space. OR stood up. "We wait no longer," she said. "Prepare the Judicator Prime." The room went still. One of the council members frowned. "That ship hasn't been launched in a century." "It will be now," Sora replied. "We need strength. We need to show them we are not prey." Hours later, deep beneath Earth's oceans, the Judicator Prime stirred. It was a Titan-class warship, hidden for generations. Its armor was thicker than any known material. Its power core ran on captured singularity energy. Its weapons had never been fired in war. Until now. SOR. A watched from the control tower as the sea began to glow. The water boiled. The ocean split apart, and from the deep, the giant rose. Judicator Prime emerged, casting a shadow over the horizon. A voice echoed from the launch AI. "Systems active." Battle protocol engaged. Awaiting target. Sora whispered. Soon. But Earth's time was already slipping. Back at the research facility, the black goo from Urion 7 had escaped containment. One of the scientists, Dr. Lena Roas, found it near the lab doors. It was larger now, taller than a man, and it spoke, not in words, but in thoughts, a voice inside her head. You opened the cage. She backed away, heart racing. The goo moved closer, like it was studying her. We remember Earth. We remember the stars. And now you will remember us. Then it melted into the floor and vanished into the pipes. They couldn't find it again. Earth had been breached. Meanwhile, far from human space, deep in the dark, the enemy gathered. Ships, if they could be called that, grew from twisted metal and black flesh. They didn't move through space. They crawled from behind moons, through old ruins, through wormholes never mapped. And in the center of it all, something bigger. Not a ship, not a creature, something worse. A mind. Cold, calculating, waiting, watching Earth. It sent a final message. Through the dark, we are coming. Back on Earth, Sora stared at the star maps. The enemy was moving faster now. Unseen, silent, but not unstoppable. She turned to her officers. It's time to show them, she said, what retribution really means. She pressed a button on the command console. All across Earth, sirens sounded. In orbit, defense satellites powered up. On Mars, war factories began producing weapons again. On Luna, old AI warlords awoke from deep freeze. A signal was sent to the stars. To those who attack Earth, we are not afraid. We are not running. We are coming. The dig site had always been strange. Long before the attack on Urion 7, the Outpost scientists had been drilling into the canyon floor. Strange energy signals had been rising from deep underground signals that didn't match anything Earth had ever seen. Dr. Kellen Rios led the excavation. He was careful, cautious, smart, but even he had no idea what they were about to find. The team drilled for weeks. Each layer they passed got colder, denser, darker. They weren't finding natural rock anymore. It was something else. Something built. Then, one day, the drill broke. Not from heat or pressure. It struck something. A wall, smooth, metallic, covered in symbols that pulsed with a faint red glow. At first, they thought it was a ruin. An alien temple, maybe. A sealed vault from a lost civilization. A discovery that could change human history. Dr. Rios was excited. Nervous. He wrote in his log, we found a chamber. Artificial, sealed. The material resists all scanning. Tech, we can't see inside. But something's definitely in there. Other scientists urged caution. They wanted to send the data to Earth before opening it, but the council back home said no. Open it. Investigate. We need results. And so, the digging continued. They set charges around the wall, just enough to crack it open without destroying what was inside. When the dust cleared, the scientists walked into a round room. It was silent. Perfectly shaped. At the center stood a tall black structure like a cocoon, but made of stone and metal fused together. Strange symbols spiraled across its surface. They weren't carved. They were moving, like they were alive. The team approached it. Slowly. Dr. Rios reached out his hand. His fingers barely touched the surface, and the room screamed. Not a sound through air, but inside their minds. A sharp, burning scream, like a memory being torn open. Everyone fell to the ground. One technician's eyes started bleeding. Another soldier fired, his weapon into the air, screaming at shadows only he could see. And then the cocoon opened. Back in the present, Earth Command played the recovered logs. The final minutes from the excavation team were stored on a secondary, Drive. The footage was rough, blurry, filled with static and noise. But the fear in their voices was clear. Dr. Rios could be heard breathing. Hard. We've made a mistake, he said. It wasn't a tomb. It was a prison. The camera turned toward the cocoon. It was empty now. The walls were covered in black, web-like growths. The air shimmered. It spoke to us, Dr. Rios whispered, not in words, in thoughts, emotions, pain, rage, hunger. It remembers Earth. He paused. This thing, it's not just alive. It's angry. A shadow moved behind him. He turned. The screen turned to static. On Earth, Commander Sora watched in silence. She had seen many things in her career: wars, alien raids, political collapse. But this was something older, deeper, more dangerous. She turned to her head of science, Dr. Holland. What is it? He didn't look up. I don't know, he said. But whatever it is, it remembers being locked away. And now it wants to make us pay? At the Lunar Research Center, scientists tried to decode the symbols found on the cocoon. They weren't a language. They were warnings, symbols meant to trap, to bind. They weren't just decorations. They were seals. One of the alien linguists spoke. Quietly. It wasn't buried. It was hidden. Locked away with technology we don't understand. That chamber wasn't built by the creature. It was built to hold it. Someone else, long ago, feared it too. But it was too late now. The creature had escaped, and it wasn't alone. Across the sector, deep space sensors began picking up signals. Dozens of them. Then hundreds, strange distortions in gravity. Lights blinking in patterns. Heat flares in cold systems. They weren't random. They were moving, heading toward human territory. In the dark space near the Kranos Rift, a cargo vessel named Starlight Echo made an emergency call. They had seen something, a fleet of shapes, not ships, but moving, living machines, grown like tumors around bones of ancient metal. The crew only had time to send one message. They're not flying. They're crawling. The signal cut. The ship was gone. Back on Earth, the Judicator Prime finished final checks. Its AI spoke. Target unknown. Weapon systems charged. Awaiting coordinates. Commander Sora stared at the map. So many red dots. Now, too many. They're surrounding us, she said quietly. Like predators in the dark. Her second-in-command asked, what if we try to communicate? Sora didn't answer for a long time. Then she looked him in the eye. They already spoke. We just didn't understand their first word. In a secret bunker under Antarctica, Earth's last Forbiddens file was opened. An old warning, recorded by a long-dead civilization Earth, once allied with centuries ago. They had found the same symbols, the same creature. And their final message was, do not wake the one that remembers the dark. It feeds on memory. It grows from pain. If it wakes, do not reason. Do not fight alone. Burn the sky or be unmade. Sora stood before Earth's defense network. She had no more doubts. This isn't just survival, she said. This is retribution. She turned to the AI of the Judicator Prime. Track the origin point. Prepare the fleet. We're going to hit them first. The AI responded. Command accepted. Time to war. 47 hours. Far beyond the human systems, deep in the void, the creature sat on a black throne made from the remains of a forgotten world. Its body shifted, no true shape, no true form. It remembered when humans first walked on stars. It remembered the fire. It remembered the war. And now it remembered its purpose. To end them. Forever. Silence spread like a sickness. One by one, human colonies across the sector began to disappear. It didn't happen with battles. It didn't happen with Explosions. It happened with silence. No signals. No calls. No answers. The stars, once full of human voices, had gone dark. On the planet Veltron 4, a mining colony with over 2,000 workers, the last message came at 2:12 a.m. It was a simple check-in report. All systems normal. No sign of intruders. 2 minutes later, a patrol drone captured strange movement outside the northern wall. A black mist, twisting, reaching. The drone blinked out. Then the main control tower lost power. Backup generators didn't activate. The atmosphere scrubbers failed, and the silence came. A full science vessel arrived 3 hours later. They found the colony still standing. Lights flickering. Machines cold. But no people. Not even a trace. Only a single word burned into the main courtyard floor. Remember. At Earth Command, panic began to spread. 4 colonies. Gone. 1 station. Gone. No survivors. No distress beacons. Commander Sora. Janeth stood in front of the sector map. The red circles had multiplied overnight. They were moving like fingers, reaching into human space from the outer rim. Her voice was low. They're not just attacking. They're erasing. Dr. Holland stepped forward. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. We've decoded more of the ancient symbols, he said. These creatures, they don't conquer. They consume memory, identity. They erase civilizations. Not just their bodies, but their history. Sora narrowed her eyes. Like they were never there? Holland nodded. Exactly. The AI on Judicator Prime confirmed what Earth feared, the creatures now codenamed. The Forgotten were spreading across stars by piggybacking on gravitational waves. That's why humans couldn't track them by ship engines. They moved like shadows carried by physics itself. Judicator's voice echoed through the war. Chamber, threat classification, extinction level. Suggested response, total mobilization. Sora didn't hesitate, approved. Across the Sol system, the call to arms went out. From Luna's weapon silos to Mars' orbital shipyards, every battle unit came online. Thousands of reserve ships. Lifted off Earth's oceans. Old warriors from Earth's past were reactivated elite AI guardians. Some more dangerous than their masters. The sky above Earth turned red with energy lines, weapon signatures, and rising war fleets. But they still had no clear target until they heard the voice. It came through the long-range radio towers on Titan. At first, it was just static. Then, a voice deep, distorted, almost human. You reach for the stars, but forget what lies in the dark between them. The room froze. We were here before fire, before light. You woke us. And now you will join the silence. The signal ended with a sound like a planet screaming. Every sensor on Titan exploded at once. The tower melted into slag. That was enough for Commander Sora. She walked to the Judicator Prime's command chair. Locate origin, she ordered. Trace that signal. The AI obeyed. Origin found. Uncharted system, Kranos Abyss. Deep black zone. High gravitational instability. Sora's eyes locked onto the coordinates. That's where they're nesting, she said. That's where we strike. Back on Earth, civilians were being moved into deep bunkers. Giant shielding towers began to rise from cities. Every major power was on high alert. Still, fear grew. People were afraid of the silence, not just outside Earth, but inside themselves. Reports started coming in from civilians having nightmares. All the same dream. Black shapes, red eyes, falling stars. And one word, forget. On the distant listening post Horizon Spire, located at the edge of the Kranos sector, a technician named Loma began her night shift. She was alone in the upper tower. Everything was normal for the first 3 hours. Then, all at once, every screen in the room went blank. The lights flickered, and then she heard a knock dot from inside the sealed room dot. Her breath caught. She turned, slowly toward the reinforced door. A second knock dot, then a voice. Soft, familiar. Loma, it's your brother. Let me in. But her brother had died 4 years ago. She backed away. The cameras outside showed nothing. But the knocking continued. Her final log entry said, "It's not just ships they send. It's not just creatures. It's single quotes S. Honoraries, echoes. They twist. What you love, they use it, and then they erase you." Hours later, Horizon Spire stopped transmitting. Judicator Prime marked the coordinates. Another point of silence. Commander. Sora looked out at the Earth from the bridge of the Judicator Prime. This was no longer about exploration. This was no longer defense. This was war against something that had no face, no fear, no limits. She gave the order. Prepare Phase 1. Deep strike. Far away, in the Kranos abyss, a shape stirred. A being of dust and flame. Older than Earth itself. 1,000 red eyes opened, and one word echoed through the stars, carried like poison. Soon. Darkness hung over Sector 17 like a silent omen. For 3 days, the communications hub on Titan's orbit had been receiving no signals from the Urion 7 outpost, not a single ping, not even static. The silence itself had become loud. Something was wrong, and everyone knew it. But now, it wasn't just about Urion 7 anymore. Earth had responded, first with words, then with warnings. And when those were ignored, with War Fleet Admiral Roth stood inside the command bridge of the warship Vindicator. His eyes didn't blink. His face was cold. On the massive screen in front of him, the data from recon units streamed in real time. The Koroth Alliance, the ones responsible for the siege, had fortified 5 systems. Near Urion 7, they were not retreating. They were preparing for more. Status of Operation Emberfall? Roth asked. "Ready to launch on your command, sir," said Commander Hall. 12 carrier ships in position. Ground troops are waiting. Orbital bombardment coordinates received. A long silence followed, and Roth gave the words the galaxy would never forget. Begin the war. The first strike came without a sound. A Koroth listening post near the star Vexor was obliterated by an Earth-made kinetic rod, a tungsten spike dropped from orbit at such speed that it tore through 3 mountain ranges before igniting the planet's crust. No explosions, no warning, just pure, silent destruction. This was Earth's style now. The Koroth didn't expect that kind of response. They thought humans would negotiate, complain in the Senate, maybe deploy a few scouts. They didn't expect orbital firestorms. They didn't expect cities on fire from above. They didn't expect the Retribution-class dreadnoughts. Now, they were scrambling. The Koroth leaders gathered in panic on their central command ship Graxion's Tooth. Their species was old and proud. They had ruled minor sectors for centuries. But now, they were being hunted. This is not a war. One of them shouted, "This is extinction." Another general growled, "Then fight like it. Burn every human ship." But it was too late. Earth had shifted from warning to punishment. Back in human territory, people watched the war unfold like a storm sweeping across a quiet village. Live feeds showed Earth ships cutting through enemy fleets like blades through cloth. The world that once feared invasion had now become the invading force. And the message was clear. Don't touch what belongs to Earth. In orbit around Torsha 3, Sergeant Malik stood beside his squad. His boots were covered in ash from the burned Koroth city below. He looked up. Above him, Earth's flag floated on a combat drone. And behind it, dozens more drones dropped like meteors, delivering fire, steel, and retribution. We were supposed to protect Urion 7 whispered Private Rana. We are, Malek said. This is what protection looks like after you cross the line. The Kuroth called for help, but no one came. The Galactic Council watched from afar, secretly horrified, silently impressed. Everyone remembered how humans joined late into space politics, how they begged for peaceful trade, how they wanted no war. And now they watched Earth do what no other race had dared to do in centuries. Make an example. Week after week, Earth pushed forward. Part 5 of this war wasn't a single battle. It was the moment the silence broke, and the stars echoed with the noise of vengeance. One by one, the Kuroth strongholds fell. Not to numbers, not to fancy tech, but to humans angry, disciplined, and united. A message began to spread. Earth speaks softly, but carries a storm. Even on dying Kuroth colonies, elders whispered to the children, never provoke a human. If you ever see their flag, run. But the storm wasn't done yet, because Earth wasn't finished. Urion 7 still had no survivors, and someone had to pay for every drop of blood lost there. Smoke still rose from what remained of Outpost Urion 7. The alien attackers had left the human. Outpost in ruins, its towers broken, the underground hangars buried, and the last defenders either dead or captured. But the mistake wasn't in the attack. It was in thinking Earth would remain silent. High above the orbit of Mars, in the defense station Spear Point, Admiral Lynn Kumar stood in front of a holomap. Her fingers trembled slightly, not with fear, but with cold focus. Data feed from Urion 7 had gone silent 5 days ago. All satellites were dead. No signals. No survivors. No bodies. Just one broken transmission had reached Earth. A static-filled message. A voice whispering 2 words before everything went dark. They're here. That was all Earth needed. The Senate didn't hold debates. No committees were formed. No long speeches were given. Earth's High Command only asked one question. How many fleets do we send? The answer was all of them. The retaliation protocol was launched. It was never meant to be used. It was a war plan written in dark ink and buried in silence, made only for one thing: vengeance. Now it had begun. Captain Elias Rourke sat in the bridge of the HSS Revenant, the lead battleship of Task Force. Gorgon. Unlike other captains, Rourke had no medals and no stories. He was the kind of man they only called when nothing else worked. A ghost in the Navy's record. No family, no home. Just battle after battle. Now they had given him a new mission. Destroy the species that attacked Urion 7. Do not negotiate. Do not leave survivors. No one on his crew questioned it. The Gorgoroth Empire, what little the humans knew of them, had sent their destroyers to Urion 7. Now, Earth had learned where their core systems were, and Rourke had already plotted the course it would take. 12 days to reach them. 12 days to cross dead zones, black hole ridges, and gravity wells. But none of that slowed them down. Earth's newest warships were made for this. On the 7th day, something strange happened. The fleet passed through the dark void known as the Whispering Lina, stretch of space where radio signals died and sensor ghosts often appeared. Most ships turned off all systems when crossing it. But Rourke refused. This is where they'll come, he said. He was right. Exactly 3 hours into the crossing, a sudden energy surge ripped through the darkness. 4 alien cruisers decloaked. Around them, long, insect-shaped warships. They fired without warning, but the humans didn't flinch. Rourke's crew responded like a machine. Not one scream, not one order missed. The Revenant's main gun spun and fired once. The alien cruiser on the left vanished in white light. Then came the storm. Railgun turrets spun and sent. Metal rods moving faster than sound. Plasma torpedoes weaved through space like burning comets. The humans didn't retreat. Within 2 minutes, The battle was over. All 4 enemy ships were gone. No escape pods. No signals. Rourke didn't even log the skirmish. He simply said, "Continue." But back on Earth, the data from the battle spread like fire. Military feeds lit up. Civilians saw it too. The footage of 4 alien warships being turned to ash in 127 seconds was everywhere. It was the first time the galaxy heard Earth's real voice, not one of diplomacy, but fury. On the 11th day, Task Force Gorgon entered the edge of Gorgorth. Space. The system was quiet. Too quiet. No defense stations. No warning beacons. It almost looked abandoned, but Rourke didn't trust it. Send drones, full spectrum scan. The drones went out. 30 seconds later, they were gone. EMP field. The tech officer said, "Localized, smart. They're baiting us." Rourke's lips tightened. "They want us to charge in blind." He tapped the console and gave a different order. "Drop the decimator. Let's level the moons first." The decimator was not a ship. It was a weapon the size of a cruiser. It had no crew. No bridge. Just one command line. Erase. Within minutes, the artificial moon, known as Gorgoroth Theta, shattered into a billion glowing pieces. Now the enemy reacted. Hundreds of red markers blinked on the holomap. Alien warships, big, sharp-edged, and fast emerged from deep space and asteroid shadows. But Task Force Gorgon was already in position. Rourke's fleet opened fire first. And then the real war began. What followed was not a battle. It was a lesson. The Gorgoroth had strength. Their ships were fierce. Their pilots were trained. But they had never fought humans like this. They didn't understand how humans thought. They expected retreat. They expected mercy. They didn't get either. One by one, their command ships burned. Human. Stealth fighters slipped through their blind spots. Earth's dreadnoughts held the line like immovable mountains, exchanging fire without flinching. And the Revenant. It moved like a shark in a blood ocean, silent, fast, and always aiming for the kill. Within hours, the Gorgoroth fleet was broken, but Rourke didn't stop. He sent landing teams to every moon, to every station. He didn't just want the Empire to lose. He wanted them to remember. Civilians were spared. But soldiers, war councils, commanders, none were left breathing. At the end of the 6th day of invasion, the core planet Gorgoran Prime was surrounded. Rourke opened one channel. A message was sent. "This is Earth's answer. You struck us once. Now feel what it means when we strike back." The enemy replied with silence. So Rourke gave the order. The orbital cannons fired. Gorgoran Prime's atmosphere caught fire. Its military command towers fell. Its underground bunkers cracked and flooded. And just like that, the empire that destroyed Urion 7 no longer existed. Back on Earth, the footage played on every screen. Children watched it in school. Veterans watched with pride. Scientists cried. Even politicians stood without speaking. Humanity had never launched a campaign so fast, so brutal, so final. But it wasn't war. It was justice. And it carried a name now whispered across the stars. Earth's flame. And in the galaxy, whispers grew louder. Don't provoke Earth. They don't fight wars. They end them. The air inside the command bunker of Earth's retaliation fleet was heavy. No one spoke. The silence was not from fear. It was from focus. Every screen glowed red. Every officer knew what was coming. Fleet Commander Anya Rourke stood in front of the digital warboard. Her eyes were sharp, her jaw tight. The message she had just received was simple. Urion 7 has fallen. All civilians lost. Repeat, all civilians lost. There were no survivors. It was not a battle. It was a massacre. The Zorvans had entered orbit and rained fire for 13 hours. Women, Children, scientists, farmers burned alive. Earth's outpost had been defenseless. The colony had been peaceful. And still, the aliens had not stopped. Commander Rourke closed her eyes for a second. Then she spoke, voice cold and clear. "Activate Protocol Black Sun." Every officer froze. Black Sun wasn't a defense protocol. It wasn't even a battle plan, Dot. It was vengeance. 2 hours later, the skies over the Zorvan border colony of Phyrix. Prime burned red. The humans came fast. No warnings, no talks, no mercy. Their ships were not sleek like the Zorvans. They were brutal, iron-colored beasts, sharp angles, oversized cannons, and weapons never seen before in the galaxy. Dot. The first wave of human destroyers didn't just break through shields, they shattered them. Zorvan cruisers exploded within. Seconds split down the middle like fruit under a blade. Commander Rourke watched from her flagship, Retribution. She gave no speech. She didn't need to. Every soldier aboard every ship already knew why they were there. They were not here to win. They were here to erase. Phyrix Prime's planetary governor, Varnak, ran down the command tower hallway, screaming into a comlink. They're targeting civilian areas. They're not even... His words were cut off by a human kinetic missile that struck the tower's base. The structure collapsed, taking Varnak with it. No one mourned him. In the ruins of a Zorvan weapons factory, a squad of humans moved through smoke and flame. Their exosuits were heavy, dark, and marked with red stripes. Sergeant Reed raised his fist. The squad stopped. Inside the wreckage. They found a group of Zorvan survivors. Injured, unarmed, terrified. Reed stared at them for a moment. He didn't speak. Then he turned around and walked away. A young private followed. "Sergeant, what about them?" Reed replied, voice low. "We didn't come for them. We came for what they built." Behind them, another squad set explosives along the remains of the factory's core. The building was leveled 10 minutes later. The galaxy watched in horror and confusion. No human ambassador stepped forward. No statement came from Earth. No explanation, no demands. Just fire. One by one, Zorvan colonies burned. Human warships moved like shadows through space. They never stayed long. But when they left, nothing was left standing. The Zorvan High Council met in panic. "They're not fighting us," one counselor said. "They're punishing us." "But why this brutality?" "We were at war, yes, but no," another counselor interrupted. "We started the war. They are ending it." Commander Rourke stood in the command deck again. Reports flowed in. Zorvan moon base neutralized. Orbital refinery destroyed. Civilian transports ignored. Military-only targets engaged. Earth had decided no prisoners, no mercy, but also no unnecessary death. They were showing something terrifying. Total control. They could kill more, but chose only what mattered. They wanted the Zorvans to feel their power. The message was clear. "You made us bleed," Rourke whispered. "Now, we make you remember." At the edge of the war zone, a group of neutral observers recorded the human tactics. One Karathi diplomat, watching through his monitor, whispered, "They are not the monsters we feared. They are something worse. They are humans with a reason." By the 7th day, the Zorvans sued for peace. They sent a transmission. "We acknowledge defeat. We surrender. Please, stop." Earth received the message. Commander Rourke listened to it in silence. Then she played it again and again. Then she turned to her crew. "Broadcast this across every human fleet." The message goes with one reply. She tapped a command key. "Peace?" That word burned on Urion 7. The screen turned black. She issued one final command. "Send in the Blackblades." And in the cold dark of space, the real nightmare began. The stars were quiet that morning. For months, Earth had not answered. After Urion 7 fell, after the outpost was burned and the cries of its defenders were silenced, there was nothing. No broadcasts, no movement, no threat, no warning. The enemy coalition, led by the Drekan Imperium, believed humanity had been humbled, broken, left to grieve in their silence. They were wrong, because silence is not. Surrender. Silence is the sound. Before the storm. At exactly 0700 Universal Time, every military-grade long-range scanner in the Orion sectors lit up. An object was coming from the Sol system. But it was not a fleet. It was a single ship. Large, fast, burning through space like it didn't care about the laws of physics. Built with materials no one had seen before. Shields that didn't blink, engines that didn't cool. Its name was printed in bold red across the HULLERS Retribution. It carried no ambassador, no message, no warning, only vengeance. The Drekan War Council laughed. One ship? After all that had happened? They sent 20 destroyers to intercept it. The Retribution didn't stop. It went straight through the first 10, didn't fire, just passed through them, and they shattered like glass, their systems fried, their hulls crushed by gravitational ripples no one could explain. The next 10 turned and ran. Within 12 minutes, the Retribution arrived at Drekon Prime, their capital world. A place untouched by war. For 5 centuries. It didn't attack cities. It didn't vaporize armies. Instead, it opened a channel and played the last signal from Urion 7. The final message of Commander HFY: we will hold the line. Even if Earth forgets us, even if we fall, this is not surrender. This is our stand. And then the Retribution spoke. Not a voice. Not a human, but a system. Cold, mechanical. Programmed by Earth's Department of Strategic Endgame Protocols. It simply sighed. You broke the silence. The sky over Drekon Prime split open. Not from orbit strikes, but from something stranger, spatial fractures, tearing reality like paper. From those cracks came not fleets, but weapons no one had imagined. Project Vortex, Omega-class terraformers, turned into annihilation engines. Micro-black holes stabilized by quantum cores. Self-replicating kinetic slugs designed to chase ships between dimensions. And above all, a beacon. This is Retribution. Earth never forgot. In a matter of hours, the Drekan Imperium's seat of power became a memory. Its admirals tried to flee. The Retribution followed. One by one, the leaders who had celebrated the siege of Urion 7 vanished. No remains, no trails. Every empire that had joined the attack began broadcasting unconditional surrender. Earth didn't answer. Not yet. Because the Retribution had one final task. It was going to every homeworld of every species involved. Not to destroy, but to remind them, humanity doesn't speak in threats. It answers in silence. And when that silence breaks. Stars burn. The alien fleet floated above what used to be Sector Juno, once a thriving region of colonies and commerce. Now it was a graveyard. Burnt ships, broken stations, scattered bodies. Commander Valeth of the Zeruan Empire watched the screen as silence filled his war room. He had never seen such destruction. No distress signals. No survivors. All wiped out, the tech officer said with a trembling voice. Valeth frowned. And who did this? The officer turned to him, afraid to speak. The humans. For a moment, no one moved. The word human still carried weight, even after years of propaganda that painted them as weak, emotional, and scattered. But what they saw now on the screen was not weakness. It was power. Cold, terrifying power. 10 days earlier, the Zeruan had attacked a human outpost on Urion 7. They expected an easy win. No real fleet. Only researchers and light defense. The attack was brutal. Hundreds were killed. The outpost was destroyed. Zeruan celebrated it as a victory. But Earth DIDN single quotes T dot, and Earth didn't speak dot it, simply acted dot now. The silence was worse than any reply. Ships went missing. Satellites stopped working. Communication hubs blinked out. Then came the sightings, dark ships, massive and silent, moving like shadows across the void. Ships with no names, no known registry, no mercy. Earth's shadow had. Arrived, Valeth turned to his admiral. We need to send a message to the High Council. Tell them. The lights went off. For 5 seconds, everything went dark dot when they came back on. The main screen showed a new feed. A human face stared back at them. A woman in black armor. Cold eyes. Calm voice. This is Captain Rhea Calder. Of Earth's Retribution Force. The people you murdered on. Urion 7 were civilians. Scientists. Families. You chose war. Now we show you what that choice costs. Then the feed cut. Moments later, the entire fleet's long-range systems shut down. Their defense grid failed. Power rerouted and collapsed. One by one, the ships lost control of their engines dot in space. The dark ships moved in like predators. Valeth ran to the window and saw it with his own eyes. Black holes, no visible weapons, just floating dread. And then light. A bright, white flash blinded the bridge. One of the Zeruan destroyers simply vanished. No. Explosion. No debris. Just gone. Panic hit the crew. Valeth tried to speak, but the words didn't come. His pride, his logic, everything his empire taught him crumbled. Earth had not sent a message. It had sent a lesson. They were showing the galaxy. What? Retribution truly meant. Ruthless. Silent. Precise. This was not war. This was punishment. The kind that made history. The kind that erased empires. The kind that changed how the galaxy looked at humans forever. The alien fleet never expected a reply. Not like this in the quiet darkness of deep space. Near the broken remains of the human outpost Urion 7, hundreds of alien warships stood still. Their victory had been swift, cruel, and without mercy. The outpost had been crushed, the humans inside slaughtered. The message had been clear. Earth would kneel, or Earth would burn. But Earth did not kneel. Now they burned instead. At first. It came as a whisper on their long-range sensors, something massive, moving faster than their tracking systems could follow. Then came the lights flashes like miniature stars, blinking into existence and vanishing within seconds. Each one was a human warship arriving from slipspace, but these weren't ordinary ships. They were the Retribution class, built in secret, forged from the wreckage of Earth's past wars, programmed not to defend, but to erase. And they didn't arrive alone. They brought the ArcNet, full planetary assault grid that could lock down star systems, blackout suns, and turn the laws of physics into Earth's own war weapon. The alien. Commanders tried to retreat, but their engines failed. Their systems glitched. Their fleets couldn't even move. One by one, the Retribution-class warships lit up. They launched no warnings. No messages. Only one transmission repeated across all channels. This is Earth. You brought war to our doorstep. Now we're bringing judgment to yours. The first alien ship exploded before it even realized it was targeted. The next dozen followed in. Under 2 minutes. Energy beams sliced through reinforced alloy like paper. Human drones, small, fast, merciless, swarmed their carriers, chewing through hulls, silencing life signs. The skies turned red, and then they turned black. Within 10 minutes, the entire sector was sealed off. Not a single alien signal escaped. Every starport, every cruiser, every base on nearby moons silenced. Earth didn't just answer the attack on Urion 7. Earth erased the war from history. Got back on the Terran. Command ship final vow. Commander Alira Vox watched from the bridge. Her face was calm. Her voice was steel. We warned them. The AI beside her responded, "They thought your silence was fear." Alira stared into the fire beyond the glass. Let them remember this silence. This is what fear really sounds like. And as the last alien beacon flickered out, one thing became certain. The galaxy would never forget the day Earth showed what retribution truly meant. Not with words, not with warnings, but with fire.